Let's talk about holding the camera steady. Having a set of legs like this, like these little jobies, is very nice, obviously for obvious reasons. You can put the camera down and shoot what you like. And of course, as a vlogging instrument, they're wonderful. I can do that and record myself very nicely. But let's say that you were in an environment where you wanted a film and something was happening and you felt that this wasn't stable enough. How do you stabilize the camera? So I'm going to take it off this mount now to give you an idea of what the alternatives are, because now you've just got this, right? This might be your mobile phone. Okay, let's just talk a little bit about mobile phones. If you are going to film with your mobile phone, hold it like this, not like this. Your audience, if your audiences are going to watch it on a mobile phone, then it's okay to film like this. Everything else, tablets, computers, screens, unless of course your television screen at home is actually mounted like this on the wall, which I doubt if it is, okay, you're going to shoot like this. Shoot everything like this. When shooting with a mobile phone, you shoot like that. Okay, so how do I keep this steady? A couple of things. I can put my arms together like this and I hold it as still as I can, but that's still not really stable. It's just not. You know what is more stable? Lean it on a door. All right, lean it on a lamppost. If you're filming with a camera like this, hold it steady by leaning it on a lamppost. Anything, even something up like that, push it against it, hold it down and hold it steady. Now what I do is I quite often actually hold my breath. So if I wanted to get a really cool shot now, I might use that, but if that was a bit too low and I actually had to be quite high like this, what I would do is I would hold my breath. Can you see how steady that is? That's a really steady shot. This kind of stuff, and I'm going to walk to the camera now, and it's disturbing. Don't do it. You really need to hold it steady. So when you're doing a vlogging shot, you're holding it absolutely stationary. And I've locked my hand in position, so I'm now getting a lovely steady shot. I'm not moving the camera around because it looks horrible. Shaky shots are an enemy. Okay, so when we spoke about the vital parts about making great films and telling great stories, your enemy is bad sound, that you cannot hear the voice, shaky shots, and an audio track that doesn't make the audience feel. Okay, we'll get on to that. When we get to the editing, we'll start talking lots more about audio, the design of the audio and how the audio makes your audience feel. This might sound like advanced stuff. It's not. This is not advanced stuff. This is basic stuff. And that's why so many people make videos that are really kind of ordinary, because they don't realize that this stuff is the basics of good video storytelling. The 5 most important elements of storytelling with video are as follows. I'm going to put them up on the screen now. I'm going to label them 1 to 5. And if by the time you finish this course, if you take away with you any one of those 5, and you just hold on to it and you use that as the key to your filmmaking and storytelling, then you wouldn't have wasted your time, and I wouldn't have wasted my time, and you would have got the most you can get out of this course. I'm going to put them up on the screen now. I want you to look at them, choose one, and make sure you take that away with you. Here they are. Now, you might be laughing at that, but this is absolutely true, and I feel very, very strongly about it. I do seminars where I have people in a room in the United States when I go there every year, and I do some courses, and that's what I start with. I actually open with that. So I talk about filmmaking and storytelling, and I get them to choose one, and then I put that up on the big projector board, and they laugh. And I have to say to them, this is no laughing matter. I'm absolutely serious. If you don't have a good soundtrack, you're not telling a good story. Bottom line, it's the thing that I think video storytellers find most difficult to understand. I also think they find it difficult to understand it because it's quite a big leap to understand that the video images that are presented to an audience give them information, but it is the soundtrack that makes them feel. It evokes emotion far better, far easier than video. If you want to get your audience to feel something, you do it with the soundtrack. That means that when you're filming, you are paying as much, if not more, and this is a big challenge, as much, if not more attention to the soundtrack that you're recording, so that when you get into the edit suite, you continue doing exactly the same. You spend more time working on your soundtrack than you do on your video. More time, as much time. Because as I said, if you want your audience to feel, you do it using audio, not video. More about this to come. Before we go on to the next section, I want to just do a quick recap on this previous section. What I've tried to teach you here is how to polish your footage so that when shooting, you're avoiding the amateur traps. And I call them amateur traps is because for some reason, amateurs, the first time they get hold of a video camera, they can sometimes make a hash of things because I think it's a lack of discipline. For example, they'll tend to pan the camera around a lot. All right, so remember, when you're doing a pan, find a subject, frame a subject using good composition, frame your subject up, hold it for 4 seconds, then the pan across, and then onto the final frame, which hopefully also will be a nicely framed still, and then hold that for 4 seconds. And then you have 3 shots in the edit. That's what this piece has been all about, is being able to shoot lots of material and then end up in the edit suite with really good usable footage. Shaky camera is a very amateurish thing. You really need to work hard at keeping the camera still. And it doesn't mean lugging great big tripods around, but it does mean paying attention to shaky cameras. You can smooth camera shake out to a degree with some edit suites. Some are good at it, some are not so good at it. Don't rely on it. You never rely on software and post-production if you can get it right in the camera. Far better to get it right in the camera to start with. Pay attention to eye lines when filming people. If you use the standard eye line techniques that I've showed you, you will be safe. Yes, you can break the rules. It's okay to break the rules, but know how to get it right before you try and break the rules. Because breaking the rules, you'll only know if breaking the rules is working if you know what to do. You won't know if you've broken the rules unless you know what the rules are. And then it'll just look like a mess. It'll look poor. It'll look amateurish. So if you're filming people in any way at all, have another look, if necessary, on the video about eye lines. Remember, you're either talking directly into the camera or you're not. You're never both. Both are stupid. Now, you are my subject, not some person over there. I'm in a studio all on my own. So why would I look over there to a nobody that the audience... Anyway, I'm not going to reiterate it, but it's those things that I see so often with amateur filmmakers. And it's just not good. Cameras need to be invisible. That's the secret. Everything I've spoken to you about in this section has been trying to keep the camera invisible. The moment your audience is aware that a camera is there, then for a moment, you've lost them. And they're being taken away from your story. And of course, the use of lenses, perspective. If you want, every lens and every frame will have an effect on the information that your audience is receiving. So if you just have one person, like I am now, with no background, and I'm in focus, nothing else, there's nothing, no other clutter, you've only got me to listen to. There's nothing else to distract you. So when filming people, decide what the background should be. Is it detracting or is it contributing? Because sometimes a background can contribute. Be aware that the backgrounds matter. And most important thing of all, I want you to take away from that section, is that audio. Audio is as important as video. Never forget that. So when you're filming and you're gathering content for your story, you are also gathering audio content. It is as important as the video content. Let's now go on to the next section. It's more about shooting. Let's talk a little bit about lighting. Now, I have some very good news for you. As a newcomer to video, the good news is that you do not need to understand what's going on in here in a studio environment. But what you do need to know and understand is how to use available light. And that's what I'm going to share with you now. And here is proof. Natural lighting. Because controlling lighting, if you think about it, has got more to do with controlling shadows than actually controlling light. And that is why using natural light can sometimes, in fact, most times, look spectacularly good. You decide whether I look better now or before. Not necessarily better, but different. Now, as you can see, I mean, for me, this is more beautiful than the lit shot. I've got a lot of deep shadow on the left of my face. Now, to prove to you that controlling shadows is the key, I'm going to change the shadows on my face, and let's see what happens. So, in order to increase the amount of light falling onto your subject, you can use reflectors, like I've done here. But never ever forget to look closely at the shadows on your subject. So by adding one reflector there, we're reducing the depth of shadow on my face, particularly on the front of my face. It's a slightly different look. And I'm telling you this because many of you doing this course will be thinking, oh, I need lights and I need all of this stuff, and how am I going to cope with it? And I'm saying to you, whoa, stop, you don't need it. Because natural light, and I've just proved it to you, is actually in so many ways better than actual lighting and easier to manipulate. Get yourself some basic equipment, and I'm going to show you what equipment to get now. In my work, I do a lot of filming outdoors and in environments where I can't lug a lot of equipment with me. So what I've done is I've created a reflector bag, and this serves me very, very well. And it consists of clips. I find these very, very lightweight and actually quite good. You can get proper film clips and clamps and things, but they're normally heavy and 10 times the price of those. And I've got 3 black cloths, and I've got cheap curtain material. It's very, very inexpensive, and let's see how big they are. Okay, you see that? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. All right. Then I have a scrim. This is parachute nylon, and any light that is shone through this gives it a beautiful, warm, flat look. So again, using these, or in fact I do have some proper clamps, these, okay. You can attach it to windows, you can attach it to door frames, you can attach it to balustrades, you can attach it to lots and lots of places, and of course stands if you want to carry stands. And this entire lighting kit probably didn't cost me more than $20 or $30. I've had it for many, many years. You can of course go and spend a little bit of money and get something like this. This again is a reflector. This is really, really good for if you're in a situation where you've got quite a bit of backlight and you need a bit of front light on your subject, because the backlight is creating an exposure problem, particularly with dark complexioned people when you have a bright background, because basically their faces swallow up a lot of light. So adding a little bit of light, generally need somebody to help you with this, but these are reflectors. They're white on the one side and they're gold on the other. You'll find you'll use the white a lot more than you use the gold, and of course they're extremely compact. And these cost a little bit of money, but they are really, really useful, and always fight back just a little bit when you're trying to put them back into their case. That is a very simple reflector kit, and as you can see, I've got more black than I have white. That's to control the light, and simplistically put, that's to control the shadows. An alternative to this are solid reflectors. These are large polyboards, white polyboards. Buy them from your local hardware store and paint the one side black and the other side white. 2 or 3 of those in your studio, that's really all you'll need. And silver also is very, very nice to have. So same thing, but a silver front to reflect the light. This is like you're going to talk to somebody who's never really shot video before. They've just played with a video camera or something like that, and they say to you, "Oh, how do I light something? What is like the 5 principal rules of making something look nice with light?" Anything that comes to head.
Okay. Number 1, decide on your light source, size of your light source. Small light source like sunlight. Decide why and what it does to your subject. What is the effect that it's going to have? Decide on the size of your light source. Secondly, direction of your light source. Is it towards the camera? Is it towards the subject? Is it over your shoulder towards the subject? Every situation demands a completely different way of lighting, and the direction of where the light comes from is really important. If you photograph a man with a very high, top high light source with deep shadows, that's good. You can't really photograph an older woman with that same light. You're going to get into trouble. But
why? Why are you going to get into trouble?
Because it's going to show up every single line in her face. You can do a young girl of 16 with, contrasty light, no problem. But you have to really use the appropriate kind of light for the person or the situation you're photographing.
It sounds to me that you're talking more about the shadows on the face than the light on the face, because you're talking about creases of the old person. It'll make them look so.
Okay, it is true that that does the shadow, because of the size of the size of the light source and the direction, does have an effect. Everything affects the shadow, but sometimes the size of the light source, be it a sharp like a sunlight, like a pinprick, or a large softbox type light source, does give you a creative edge in your shot. It does create something, a feeling that you necessarily don't get with a different kind of light. The other thing is the third thing is the nature of the shadow. The nature of the shadow and what it feels like and where it is on the person, and it is vitally important. The shadow, like a metaphor for life, you can't really see positivity without understanding that there is negativity there. It's the same thing with lighting. You light based on what your shadow is doing. So people who just automatically reflect in light to fill in shadows, don't do that. Think about your shadow. Think about your shadow almost as hard as you think about your light source and the size of your light, the direction of your light, or where it's coming from. But I would say the most underrated area of lighting, or the area of lighting that people just don't really put any effort into, is what the shadows are doing. And that's going to make your photography look professional all the time.
Does this, what you're saying, apply to photographing people and photographing objects? Does the same thing apply?
I think photographing objects, it's kind of a masculine thing. You're talking about things, you're not talking about humanity, so you're not talking about emotion. You're not trying to convey too much emotion in it, you're just trying to make it look as good and as attractive as possible. When you photograph landscapes or people, it's a whole nother level of engagement that the viewer has with the images. If you're talking about emotion, there's lots of stuff that goes on in the mind of a viewer when looking at a person. And looking at an object, you're just like, okay, looks like a good object, it's got a nice shape, that's it. There's no feeling that goes with it. So I think photographing objects it's a technical exercise, making sure that the reflective surfaces behave really well. But photographing people or landscapes, it's like a whole nother level of carefulness with what you have to do.
To a newcomer in videography, they're going to be using available light. What kit should they take with them to control light, assuming that they're photographing people?
Okay, very easy answer. It'd be nice to take massive polyboards, massive 6 by 8 foot polyboards on a shoot would be great. Impossible to take with you. You just can't put them in a car. I've seen some guys divide it up into 4 and then you fold it out, which works fine. But those little circular reflectors that you get, they come in a set of 3, where they've got silver and white on the one side, and then you have another one which is gold and black. Those are perfect. They're big enough to create shadows, and they're big enough to extend the amount of daylight, say, coming through a window. Those are really ideal, and they're relatively cheap, and they fold up into a tiny little parcel. Really awesome thing to use, but you've got to use it, but use the black. People never use the black, got to use the black.
What about screws? So you've got hard light coming in through a window and you want to soften it. What would you make? Yeah.
Great question. So if if it's cloudy outside and it's quite a light day, but it's cloudy, you can use a window light. Beautiful, exquisite light. But you're going to have situations where the sun pops out of between the clouds, and now you've got blasting light through the window. You don't want that, because that just creates massive ugly shadows that just have no place. So put in your kit a big piece of parachute material, that white, floppy, white, silky material that doesn't let the sunlight through, that won't make shadows, but it'll rather give you one massive shadow. That is the kind of light you need to use, and it's really easy. I have about an 8 foot square piece of that, and I just clamp it onto the window, clamp it onto the railing, the curtain railing, and I use it a lot. I use it pretty much for everything. It keeps the light stable throughout the day. You have soft shadows. It's really, you can even bring it around a little bit if you want to create more light in the front of somebody's face. It's an awesome piece of kit. It costs you a couple of dollars. That's what you need to use.
Thank you very much, Dirk Peters. Dirk Peters now give you his email address, not so much his email address, his website address. Your website address, so they can look at Dirk's sensationally good, well, I think so anyway, food photography and, well, photography in general. DirkPeters.com.
Are you finished now?
No, you can.